everyone. Have you subscribed to the channel yet? If not, click the link below. You're not gonna wanna miss this. Okay, so you wanted to know, I'm gonna show you how you stencil things without it bleeding through. Well, I have a trick, and I'm gonna show you. It's not as hard as you think. It's actually easier, and not one of them says make sure your surface is smooth, make sure, nope, there's a trick. It's a hack. Here's your life hack. Watch this. Okay, so today I'm working on this piece. The reason I'm in my living room and all crowded into a corner is because my she shop is a little full right now and I can't work in there. I gotta wait for some projects to finish drying so I can get in there. But here's what you're gonna do. So as you can see, I've got this gorgeous nautical compass rose on this table, and I wanna do this in black. And you can see I did the base in this really great grayish, it's gray beige. And I want this to be a nice crisp line, and I want it to be black. And you can see, I can see my paint strokes, and I don't wanna sand this down because it is chalk paint and it's gonna get, you know, it's too easy to sand through it, so I don't wanna do that. So here's what you need to do so that you don't get the bleed under the stencil. Now this is a stencil that you could cut yourself out of vinyl. My husband cut this one on his plotter, but if you had a Cricut cutter or one of those machines, you can certainly cut this yourself. Or if you get a stencil at the store, make sure you use a stencil adhesive. Spray the back of the stencil, get it placed where you want it. And then what you're going to do is you're gonna take a brush and you're gonna take the original paint color. Now I learned this trick, gosh, late 80s when stenciling was really hot. And you're gonna brush over the edges of the stencil, the original base color, and you're gonna cover the whole stencil with the original base color. And then you're gonna let it dry. And the reason you do this is because then what bleeds underneath the stencil is the original color. Once it dries, it seals the edges of the stencil, of the actual lettering and things like that, so that when I take my brush and I put the black on, it won't bleed underneath the stencil. You will need to take an X-Acto blade or something like that and just trace along the edges lightly to get the stencil to come off cleanly, because you are allowing the paint to dry and basically seal this down. But let me tell you, the lines come out super crisp and super clean, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I wouldn't do it any other way, because unless you do it with spray paint, and if you guys want me to, I'm more than happy to show you stenciling with spray paint, because that's even easier. And people don't believe me when I say that. I love stenciling with spray paint. But you just fill in all these lines. And I'm gonna put you on time lapse and finish this up so you don't have to watch me. Okay, so what I've done is I've effectively sealed all these edges, and I was very sloppy with what I did. I used a lot of paint because I actually do want it to bleed under a little bit. I didn't dab off the paint or anything like that. I want it to bleed under there a little bit, and I want it to dry. So we're gonna leave this to dry, and luckily with chalk paint it won't take too long, and then I can start the next coat. You can also do this, now if you had a wood piece that you didn't have a base coat of paint, you can do this with a clear coat, but one caveat if you're gonna do that. If you're using a clear coat of some kind, they will dry a lot harder, a lot more durable than this paint. So when you go around your lines, you may have to cut a little bit deeper. So be very careful when you remove the stencil, because if you don't get the lines cut correctly, and when you start to peel it, you'll peel the paint and the stencil, everything off with it. So just make sure that if you're using a clear coat, you do a really, really deep cut. But I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna stencil this with the black, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so now this base coat is dry, and you can see I can touch it. Nothing's coming up on my fingers. Now is when you wanna start treating this like a stencil. So after you've done that first coat, now you get your sponge, and I use a makeup sponge from the Dollar Tree just because they're cheaper. I think they work just as good. And the other ones, the actual pouncing stencil sponges, you know, that come on the brush, they fall apart so easily. And I was gonna do this in black until I realized I have this Bungalow 47 in nautical stripe, so we're gonna use the nautical stripe instead. Okay, so I've got the nautical stripe and I'm gonna put it on my sponge, and I'm actually gonna put less on my sponge there. That was a lot. And then you're gonna start just sponging it on. Now this does take some patience, getting all the coats of paint on there, and I'm not a patient person, so I still sometimes have a little bit of bleed, but this technique has worked the best for me. You can see I don't like to wait. I want to get my stuff done. All right, I'm gonna put you on time lapse again because this is pretty boring. And there you have it. No camera tricks. That is a nice clean, that is a nice, clean, crisp stencil. So it turns out pretty good. And that was the trick that I was taught years ago, was to do the base coat first or a clear coat. But just make sure, I didn't show you me cutting the whole thing, but make sure you give it a nice cut if you're gonna use that clear coat. And you can see, it turned out beautiful. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments or questions or suggestions on topics you'd like to see, if you would like to see me do a spray paint stencil, it's way easier than this. I'd be happy to do it. So thanks for watching, everyone. Happy Junkin. Bye. Visit my blog, peonylanedesigns.com, for more tips, tricks, and inspiration. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll be notified of new videos. I post every week DIY tutorials and, of course, more Junkin videos.